There has never been an easier and cheaper time to get started with FPV drones than right now.
It's actually so damn easy and cheap that it's become a really difficult choice of where beginners should even start out. So in today's video, I'll be showing you exactly what FPV gear you should buy depending on your budget and everything you need to get up and flying. I'm starting off with a complete drone bundle at $100 and moving my way up in price by another $100 each time. That way you're always going to have an option to choose from no matter where your budget sits. I do want to say too that I'm utilizing this exact same system that Matt Poshwat created in his video 3 years ago. The difference being that everything has gotten upgraded and, well, cheaper since then, so that's only great news for you. However, before I can show you any of these bundles, you first need to understand exactly what's required for a drone bundle to work seamlessly together. Think of these bundles as a gaming console of your own choice. I'll be using a PlayStation, of course, just because it's the better option, but now our gaming console has got 5 major parts to make it all function properly. First, we have the console itself, which is the powerhouse to your whole setup. It's actually the one thing that's going to give you all the fun that you're after. Different types of consoles offer exclusive games and experiences that simply aren't possible with other types of consoles. All of this is the exact same as an FPV drone itself. Some drones can do things that others can't, and not every drone is going to cater for everybody's needs. That's why today I have based every choice off of drones that I personally have tested and would now buy if I was at that budget level again. Next, we've got the game controller. It's what you use to navigate and control everything, and hey, if it wasn't obvious enough already, this is the exact same as your FPV remote controller. Not every controller is going to work with every gaming console, or in our case, drone system, so you do need to make sure that you're buying the right one for your drone. Okay, third, we've got the headset. These are what transport you directly into the game and truly makes for a full immersive experience. Different headsets offer different levels of immersion and simply won't work with all of the other gaming consoles. This is just like the FPV goggles that you wear over your face. Some are gonna rock and others are gonna suck at bringing that full immersive feeling to you, so choosing the right one is, well, kind of crucial. Our fourth essential part to the gaming console is the power cable. It ensures your gaming console has all the power it needs to run at full performance without fail. It's obviously pretty important to know the right cable for your console as, well, some are going to require more power, while some can only handle smaller amounts and won't actually run without the correct one. This is, of course, the same as LiPo batteries for your FPV drone. Bigger drones need bigger batteries. Smaller drones, well, they need smaller batteries. Then the last thing you'll need to get your console working is a power socket to plug right into. This is your charger for your LiPo batteries, as without one of these, you aren't going to be able to get flying very fast. So now that you know you'll be needing the drone itself, a controller, pair of goggles, batteries, and a charger for your drone bundle, we can get right on into the exciting part. Starting off with $100. Now, this is the only one that isn't going to give you the full experience. However, it's still perfect if you want to test the waters of FPV and really want to spend a small amount trying it out. For $100, you're going to get the Radio Master Pocket Radio Controller. So make sure it's the ELRS version along with 2 18650 batteries. Those batteries are going to go inside of the remote so that it can actually power up. Now that alone burns through 77% of our budget, meaning our remaining amount needs to go into a simulator. If you've got access to a computer of some sort, I'd recommend DRL as it's going to give you the easiest tutorial intro ever. However, if you haven't got a computer and instead only have access to an Android phone, you can go right ahead and download the Velocidrone for Mobile Simulator. This, by the way, is a mobile version of one of the most realistic simulators money can buy on a computer, so having it on mobile is actually really awesome. Moving on to the $200 budget. If you're umming and ahhing between spending $100 or $200, I would really urge you to go for the latter, the $200 one, as it's actually going to give you the real FPV experience that you're after. For $200, you're going to be able to grab the Beta FPV Cetus FPV kit along with an additional 8 BT 2.0 1S 300 mAh batteries. For some reason, these seem to be quite hard to come by right now, so if they're out of stock, grab yourself 5 of the Lava 1S 300 mAh batteries instead. This setup is going to have you ready to roll with a controller for simulator practice, and then when you're feeling confident enough, a drone and goggles setup to actually fly in real life with. Of course, those additional batteries need to be charged up, and that's where the included kit charger is going to come in handy. It's just a simple USB-C plug, so there isn't really much you need to learn about there. I really recommend that you do pick up extra batteries though, as the flight time is super short and you're gonna find yourself wanting to keep on flying, so the batteries are gonna help you do that. All right, $300 and things are getting really exciting now. This is personally where I would start out if I had never touched FPV before and wanted to give things a proper shot without, a massive budget. This equipment will be able to grow with you, and the drone that I'm recommending for this budget is actually one of my favorite drones right now, which is saying a lot. So without further ado, here's what to get. The Radio Master ELRS pocket radio with the two 18650 batteries, 4 Lava 1S 450 mAh batteries, and a Beta FPV 6-port 1S battery charger. Those so far are mostly all things that we've seen before in this video. However, now we're bringing in the Beta FPV VR03 FPV goggles and my favorite drone, the Meteor 75 Pro. It's important to make sure when you're buying both your controller and the drone that you actually select the ELRS versions. That way you're going to be able to bind them together and you're not going to be left stranded with a non-connecting remote. Okay, next up is the $400 budget. You're going to start to see some more similarities here, but these are multiple upgrades that are going to make your purchase even more future-proofed. We've got the Meteor 75 Pro, pocket radio, and radio batteries all being the exact same, but now we're increasing the number of batteries up to 8, grabbing an extra 6-port charger, and picking up 2 spare canopies, 2 spare frames, and 4 sets of 45mm props for the Meteor 75 Pro. If this is all starting to sound confusing and you're getting a little bit lost with all these names that I'm throwing out there, don't stress. I have put everything from this entire video into a downloadable list down in the description box below. You'll simply be able to reference that instead of needing to come back to this video, and I can also keep it updated if any of the options have some crazy change. And look, if you need another reason other than it's going to save you money, it's not going to cost you any either. It's completely free to download. Now, you might be wondering why I haven't mentioned the goggles yet too. And don't worry, I didn't forget about them. Instead, I upgraded them to what Joshua Bardwell states is his cheapest worth having FPV goggles, the Eachine EV800D. I personally have never tried these. However, I have heard from multiple people that they are great for their price, hence why I've chosen them here. All right, so far you've got yourself a really solid tiny whoop setup that's gonna be able to last you and grow with you for a long time. However, if tiny whoops aren't what excites you enough to try out the hobby, then I'm stoked to be able to introduce you to your first ever 5-inch freestyle or cinematic FPV setup for $500. We're running with the same pocket radio, the same Eachine goggles, and well, that's where the similarities stop. To kick off your 5-inch drone experience, I'm recommending the iFlight Nazgul XL5 Eco. It's a budget version of my first ever 5-inch drone, and had it been available when I was starting out, it totally would have been my first ever 5-inch drone instead. To power it, you'll be needing to grab 2 CNHL Speedy Pizza 1200 mAh 6S LiPo batteries. Oh my goodness, that's a mouthful, man. All these numbers, good lord. Now, you could go for 4S batteries, and honestly, there is nothing wrong with you if you do that. However, I'm gonna push you towards 6S instead, as it's gonna allow for more room for you to grow as a pilot and possibly give you more confidence in the drone's capabilities. To charge up, I'm also bringing in our first proper battery charger on today's list, the ISDT 608 AC. It's got the power supply built into it, so you're not going to be needing to rock around a massive power supply like I've got here. You may have noticed that the $500 budget didn't leave you with much flight time in the air, right? I mean, 2 batteries would definitely leave me wanting more time in the sky, hence why for the $600 budget, I'm only changing 2 things. The drone, remote, goggles, and charger are all staying the exact same. However, we're adding in an extra 4 CNHL Speedy Pizza 1200 mAh 6S batteries. Still a mouthful, I need to shorten that down. Anyways, taking our total up to 6 batteries, which is great, but it does leave us with a problem. Our charger only has room for 1 battery to be charged up at a time, which means charging 6 batteries up is going to be tedious, and honestly, this is going to take way longer than we would want. That's why, to wrap up this bundle, I'm also adding in a parallel balanced charging board, which is going to let you charge up all 6 of your batteries at once. Please make sure that you do some research before just plugging in all your batteries at once, as you do need to learn what is actually healthy for the batteries and what is not, but more on how to do that just a little bit later on in the video. Okay, $700. The upgrades are starting to get really serious now, but that also means we're not able to change as much volume as we are quality. Everything remains the exact same as before with the goggles, drone, battery, charger, and balance board. Where the upgrade comes in now, however, is with our controller. We're going from a pretty good little controller to an absolute beast that honestly may never need to be upgraded like ever again for you. This controller is the Radio Master Boxer, the ELRS version with a 2S 6200 mAh battery to power it up. Provided that you get the ELRS version of the Nazgul XL5 still, you're not going to be needing anything else extra to connect it up. For the $800 budget, we're getting ourselves set up with a really solid setup that's going to help you stay in the sky for longer at any one given time. The drone, goggles, and controller stay the same, but we add an extra battery to the mix and an extra parallel charging board. But Brody, what the heck am I supposed to do with an extra parallel charging board when I've only got one port on my charger? Well, I'm so glad that you asked, because that's where the exciting upgrade comes in for this budget. The charger. I'm recommending that you pick up the Hota D6 Pro charger, which is not only really well renowned in the FPV space, but it also introduces an extra port, doubling your charging output. Remember, if this battery stuff is confusing, just bear with it for now. It'll all make sense at the end of the video. Alrighty, $900. Everything stays the exact same again. However, this time we swap out the previous 7 CNHL 1200 batteries for 8 GNB lithium high volt 1300 6S batteries. Not only are you getting an extra battery to fly with, but you're also getting a much higher performance battery that is lighter, smaller, and holds more capacity. These are the exact batteries that I now actually race with, and honestly, they have lasted a lot longer than any of my CNHL batteries in terms of longevity and durability. If replacing batteries more often though doesn't matter to you, then this budget range really doesn't offer you much, but if you're like me and you want your purchase to last, this is a huge upgrade. Okay, now for the 4th time in today's video, we'll be getting a really solid upgrade to the goggles in our $1,000 budget. Unfortunately, for this upgrade to happen, we've had to shift some things around with our batteries again. Now, we're going back to the CNHL Speedy Pizza 1200s, but we've got 8 of them, and we're dropping one of our parallel balanced charging boards. But honestly, it's all totally worth it for the goggles experience. This allows us to go from the Airsheen box goggles, which are good, to what is commonly known as the best pair of box goggles money can buy, the SkyZone Cobra X V4s. These are yet again another pair of goggles that I personally have not used. However, they've been recommended left, right, and center and stand strong on Joshua Bardwell's recommendation page as well. Alright, this is personally my favorite and most exciting part in the video so far. For $1,100, you've got the choice to either go all in on analog or switch over to the dark side and go properly HD. Now that I've said that, I should probably mention that HD really isn't the dark side, and it's probably one of the best choices I ever made, but hey, the choice is totally up to you. Our $1,100 analog setup consists of the Boxer radio, Hota charger, and parallel balance charge board, Nazgul Eco, 7 CNHL batteries, and our fancy new goggles, the SkyZone Sky 04L V2s. These are going to move you away from that big, slightly uncomfortable box style of goggle and shift you into the binocular style instead. They've got a really solid analog receiver built into them, so you'll be stepping up your video signal quality and range as well. To top it all off though, you'll be wanting to add on some antennas to the goggles, which for this I've recommended the Foxair Lollipop 10cm V4s and the Menace RC Pico Patch. Combining both of these antennas is going to give you the best reception for most flying. That now does move us away from analog for the rest of the video, so with the exact same budget of $1,100, let's see what you could get going into a shiny new HD setup. Pretty much everything changes except for the Boxer radio here, so let's go through the rest of the buying list. Our goggles are going to be the DJI Integras, which are some of the best quality and best price for what you get in my opinion. The drone is similar to what we have in the analog version, however instead of an analog video version, we're now swapping them out for DJI's O3 system, which is like 100 times better looking than any analog feed ever. To be able to have one of the best controllers, goggles, and video systems in a drone though, we've had to make some compromises on the batteries and charger. Instead of the nice Hota charger, we're going back to the ISDT 608AC charger with 1 parallel balance charging board, and we're also cutting back the batteries to 4 CNHL Speedy Pizza 1200s. Personally, I do think the compromise is actually worth it, as the charger and batteries are some of the more cheaper parts that you can actually upgrade later on down the road. Now, however, that does open us up to some really solid quality of life improvements as we go for the $1,200 budget. We pop another CNHL battery back in, swap out to the nice Hota D6 charger, and throw in 2 spare sets of Delprop Nepal N2 propellers. Trust me, you're gonna be thankful that you bought some extra of these things when you start crashing properly, because you're gonna bend and break them really fast. The $1,300 budget is similar again and brings us some more quality of life improvements. We up the batteries to 8 CNHL 1200s, 2 parallel charging boards, and 10 sets of Delprop Nepal N2 propellers, giving you more flight time, fast charges, and ideally more flights in the long run as you get to swap those propellers out. The last quality of life improvement comes in the $1,400 budget range, where we simply swap out all of our CNHL batteries for 8 G&B lithium high volt 1300s. I've already run through why these are the more premium option, but seriously, you're gonna notice the difference. And that brings me to the last budget range for this video. But instead of settling for $1,500, I instead built out exactly what I would purchase if I just had an unlimited budget and wanted to get started in FPV with the best of the best, zero compromises. Surprisingly, this unlimited budget thing actually only stretched out to $1,800, and truthfully, I can't think of wanting anything else aside from this, so without further ado, this is my recommendation for anyone wanting top tier everything. We start off with the Radio Master Boxer controller, which is indeed not the most expensive controller around. However, is premiumitize a word? I don't know. Anyways, it is now. To make it more premium, I've added on the AG01 gimbals, which are CNC'd metal gimbals instead of the stock plastic ones. It's a bit unnecessary in all honesty, but hey, we wanted the best, right? Next is the goggles. For these, I'm actually still running with the Goggles Integra. You might be wondering why I didn't pick the newer Goggles 3 or even the more expensive Goggles 2, and my reasoning behind that is simply because they offer more compatibility over the Goggles 3, and they're more comfortable than the Goggles 2. I'd still be running the Hota D6 charger with 2 balance boards and 8 GMB 1300 mAh batteries, so not much more to report there. However, the last upgrade is where most of the budget increase went into, the drone. Instead of going for the Nazgul HD Eco, I would swap it out for the iFlight Nazgul Evoke F6 V2 HD 03. Holy crap, just another mouthful of a name there. This version of the Nazgul has slightly bigger props, much higher quality electronics, and some awesome looking LED panels on it. It's pretty much the blinged out version of the Eco, and it's not gonna offer like some massive flight performance upgrade, but it is for sure gonna be a more premium feel, and hey, that's what I'd be after. Now, I'm sure by now you've probably got a bundle in mind, but whatever bundle it might be, it's gonna have LiPo batteries that need to be looked after. Without proper care and better regulation, you're actually gonna ruin your batteries, potentially cause fires, and wreck your drone. Hence why I put this video together here that gets you fully up to speed on what you need to know about LiPo batteries, how to charge them, and I even demonstrate what can happen if everything goes wrong with one. And yeah, it's a little scary. Look, see you over there.